Want to make sure we're live. Alrighty. Assalamu alaikum and a blessed Ramadan to those observing the fast. Finally, the coldest days of the winter are almost over for most of us, hopefully, and we're finally enjoying the spring weather. We're glad to see you in a new light with our new online project that we're about to start today with you all. So we have realized that we've been communicating with some of the successful members of Uzbek Diaspora group, and we believe we have developed a sense of community where everyone feels connected, everyone feels like friends, happy to see each other. So that being said, I'd like to say we're starting the UD panel discussion series where we bring UD influencers, our former speakers, on our virtual stage and discuss things that matter to our community and to the world in general. Today, we have those young and wonderful people that you see on your screen gathered to discuss the topic of AI, artificial intelligence. But why is it even the first conversation to have for UD panel discussion series? It seems like in 2019, 2020, the main conversation was revolving around like COVID-19, all these, all this news. This Then it turned into a Ukrainian war, and then the media around the world has been focused on this war, and we can't wait for this war to be over. And lastly, since the beginning of 2023, everyone switched gears and has been talking about artificial intelligence. Seems to be a cool topic, right? And so, why have they been talking about AI? Because the rapid pace at which AI is being developed raises the question whether it's good or bad to the world. And honestly, I don't know about you guys, but personally, I've been very much concerned and have been learning about it through different podcasts and articles. The scale of difference, it's been making in different industries, and the potential it has to become something that the world has never seen before is mesmerizing and somehow scary. We have to admit. Uh, and it reminds me of some Hollywood sci-fi movies where something big happens all of a sudden and the world changes completely with all the changes that are happening in the world of technology and robotics nowadays. So for full disclosure, I'd like to say we don't claim to be experts in the field of AI. So neither do our speakers. So everything we'll be discussing here are just your pure subjective opinions and on the topics of artificial intelligence, robotics, and etc. So today we have Abdul Sharopov with professional background in venture capital in Uzbekistan, Sardor Akhmedov, a managing partner at Jafton, and last but not least, Darkhonbek, a software engineer at Uber. If you'd like to learn more about our today's speakers, feel free to go on our social media channels and watch the UD interview series with each speaker. I'm sure you're gonna, be positively impressed by their professional profiles and achievements they have made. Having said it all, how are you guys doing today?
Who'll take it? I guess AI won't decide for us who's gonna start, right?
Okay, let's start with Abdul, and then Sardar will follow up, and then Darkhonbek will be the last.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Should we, I guess,
Mhm.
having a good time with fasting and everything. Yeah. Uh, what else could I say? I mean, it's been an exciting couple of weeks, following along all these new things and trying to adjust our theses, with the kind of startups we have to interact with. Yeah, I mean, it's really affected sort of the outlook for the venture space. I think like the venture was kind of dying a bit, like in terms of like the prospect of startups, but I think now with now we have something new, a new hype cycle to kind of latch onto and to kind of help support and fund that.
Very exciting. Very exciting. What about Sardar?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Yeah, same here. Adopting to AI. Interestingly enough, I found myself not too excited about AI this time. I feel like it's taken a little longer than what a probably a 15-year-old I would have expected back when I was super excited when I first heard about AI. But kind of reviving that excitement back and trying to uh, jump on this, bandwagon of like using this to the fullest and taking advantage of it. So yeah, excited to talk about it actually.
Awesome, awesome. What about Darkhonbek? How you been?
I'm scared. I would like your jobs. But honestly, it's pretty cool. I haven't seen anything like big like that in a while, so I'm excited.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Having said all, okay, let's get warmed up a little and answer some of the personal and some tech related fun questions that require short answers. We can start with Abdul and then Sardor and then Darkhonbek. This is going to be like our sequence. So let's start. So if you had a whole day where you could do anything you wanted, what would you do?
So I think that's pretty much my life right now. I get to decide. Yeah, I mean, most venture capitalists, we have that freedom, thankfully. So yeah, I mean, I guess what I enjoy is like for example, for today, it was a pretty good day where I just went to like an ML talk about machine learning, and I just saw like enthusiasm that people have for for ML, and we had like a huge like 50 plus people, just listening to like things about ML, and it was nice to see all the energy from young people into this this new sector in Tashkent.
Yeah, I bet. So many new startups coming from Tashkent. I'm sure you've been, observing it all. All right, awesome. What about Sardar?
Yeah, kind of piggyback of what Abdul said. Same here. Fortunate enough to decide what I want to do with entrepreneurship career, and I'm a fan of adding more structure and more systems into life as much as possible. So try not to be spontaneous, and even on weekends, try to plan some things. So at the same time, I was reading a short version of this book called Die with Zero, which kind of talks about how you should die with a net worth of $0, meaning spend it all on experiences as much as possible. So made me kind of think, I guess I'm not at that level of being ultra rich like that author of that book talks about. I think he appeals more to these ultra rich people who get caught up with like trying to maximize wealth. I think I'm still at and going to be for a couple of years at the level of trying to maximize and trying to get to that comfortable enough, stage, but not to get too off track, but yeah, trying to balance, I guess, hard work with not missing out on experiences. So I would I guess in a balanced day try to not live without work, but also try to do something fun.
Sounds very general. If you could point out one activity or something that you could do within 24 hours, what would it be?
That's yeah, it's been a while. I guess we'd go kayaking again, like we did recently. Yeah, that was super fun. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Be fun to repeat one more time. What about Darkhonbek?
Oh, you guys have very, very interesting lifestyle. I'm jealous. I work for big tech, so I don't have this freedom. What I would do, I would chill. If that's one activity, I'll go clubbing, go dance all day. Yeah.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun. Alrighty, what do you need less of in your life? That's gonna be the second question here.
What is less fun, you said?
What do we need less of?
Yeah, what do you need less of in your life?
Less stress.
Less stress.
Less worry and anxiety. Yeah.
I see. Is AI giving you more stress?
No, I mean it's not necessarily. Maybe it's over exaggerated. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And Sardar?
Yeah. I guess if it's one thing, probably could be less stressful people, if you will. Like, being in the consultancy industry would deal with people, both on the team side and the client side. So sometimes it's very difficult to deal with. So I guess if I could, if AI is about to replace everybody, I guess I wish the first people will be the people who are really hard to deal with.
I see. And Darkhonbek, what do you need less of in your life?
Uh, I think distractions, social media.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
100%.
So the
Yeah.
following question would be an interesting one. Would you rather people perceive you as being kind, smart, or attractive? What would be the one title that you would pick for yourself?
Definitely smart for me. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I think it's just personal preference. That's just what I value more. And I think I'm doing okay in terms of that, in terms of metric.
Mhm. I see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how smart are you? Or do you think you are?
Like a 7 or 8.
7 or 8?
Subjective. Yeah.
To good self-confidence, I would say. Awesome. How about Mr. Sardor? I see some smiles over.
Yeah. First, it's very interesting how you phrase the question. You probably thought about it a lot or asked ChatGPT. It's not like, what would you choose to be, kind, smart, or attractive? It's like, what would you want people to perceive? Because
Right.
it's like I can be a piece of and people will still perceive me as somebody else, especially with social media. Speaking of that, right? Like
Right.
people can't portray themselves as anything they want. But so I guess I want to answer this in a way of like, hard to say I don't care about what people perceive me as. I do, like everybody does. But
Right.
yeah, if I were to choose one, I would still probably also choose smart. And don't ask me how I rate myself.
Yes, of course. I would ask you, what would be your answer?
You also ask me, okay.
Of course.
Yeah. Depending on how much coffee I had, right? If we're talking max coffee, probably 7. Yeah.
7. Yeah, it's a good rate. Darkhonbek.
So it's a hard one because I'm being split between the kind and smart, like intelligent. You can be intelligent, but you can be asshole. Sardar said, and assholes are, well, the opposite of kind is not an asshole, so that's like the difficult. If let's say we change the kind to like person to be very like comfortable to be around, right? Like very very easygoing and etc. People love you.
Yeah.
I would say kind, and then from there on, you can prove your intelligence. You can, but attractiveness, like you only need that for dating. That's it. So yeah, I think I'll go with kind, but with the modified version of what I said. Not like kind, but being likable. That will open your doors. That will ease up networking, making new connections. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very comprehensive answers from everyone. I like them. We have 2 smart and 1 kind person here we're interviewing with today. Let's talk about technology. What is technology? If you could, give a short answer, that would be appreciated from each of you, please. Let's start with Abdul.
I'm always first. Yeah, tech. I mean, it's so pervasive. It's everywhere. So it's impossible. It's really hard to say at this point. I think previously, it was something kind of separate, but these days it's just part of everything. So how do you even begin to define it? So I would just say it is sort of, I don't know, using science in the natural world to, I don't know, enhance human efficiency and productivity. Yeah, because that's how I would say, yeah, how it is these days.
Interesting. Enhance human efficiency and what else?
Yeah, or productivity. Yeah,
Productivity.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. Sardar, what do you think?
Yep. My turn.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think. I mean, I was reading an answer by GPT yesterday, literally for this question of what explain technology to a 10-year-old. And I think it said something like, it's a set of tools that make life easier. And
Yeah.
it's part of our everyday life, like computers, and start giving examples of like phones and things like that. But I guess in the core, the word technology is applicable to not only the traditional term of quote unquote tech as we understand it, right? But even like the way you build houses, not considered to be a tech, but it is a technology. There's a technology of building houses, right? In real estate, there's a technology of building roads, the technology of building cities. So technology is everything, right? Everything around
I
us.
see.
Technology.
Interesting. All right. What about Darkhonbek? What do you think about technology? What is it? If you could give like a short definition to technology.
Yeah, I just asked ChatGPT as well. It gave me a pretty much good answer. In my understanding, technology is basically anything you use that does the computation. It makes your job easier. That's how I understand it.
Interesting. And how has technology changed in the past 10 years?
It's become, yeah, as I said before, more pervasive. It's everywhere. Mobile. I mean, more integrated with daily life. Yeah, so it used to be, somewhere like you could go on the internet before, right? Like going on the internet was kind of like, oh, you sit on a computer, like you log in. Whereas now it's like you're never off the internet, unless you're, majority of people, that's the case for them, even no matter what country you are in these days. So that's the main way. It's everywhere, and it's it's become more like a human right, even to have access to the internet and all technology. And because it just makes you so much more efficient and gives you so much opportunities. And I think it's great. I think most of us wouldn't be where we are without the internet, and it's allowed us to be where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think, Sardor?
Yeah, 100% agree with what Abdul said. Definitely has become a bigger and bigger part of our life. To take it further, I have no doubt that we're in our lifetime, most likely, maybe not ourselves, but we're going to witness people turning into pretty much cyborgs, where it's going to be technology is going to be embedded into our bodies, right? With Neuralink, for example, how Elon Musk is working on that. And if you think about it right now, like we're almost like I love how Abdul said right to technology. I think there's going to be like, just like there's basic human rights that everybody's entitled to, there's going to be basic human rights for technology that everybody's entitled to. Like everybody's like, the UN is going to protect your rights to technology, to get access to internet. Like nobody should be left out without an internet type of like process happening probably in the future, where like there's going to be like, if the technology is going to be so much embedded into our bodies, like those who haven't had access to it are going to be so inferior to those who do, right? So we're almost there, where it kind of democratized access to knowledge and skill set and things like that, but also those who don't have access. And I think there's about 2 billion people still that don't have access to the internet today, are very much inferior to the rest of the world. So it definitely has created equality, but also it highlighted inequality for those who don't have access to it.
It's a very broad topic that we could talk about down the road, but interesting. What about Darkhonbek? What do you think? How has technology changed, and how has it changed your life, maybe?
Two things. It became smarter. Oh, three things. Sorry. It became smarter. It became faster, like Abdul said, and it became more intrusive. And we are collecting even more data. We are processing it even better.
Very interesting. Realistically speaking, could you live without technology in the modern world? Let's say
You can
modern.
go on like a you could go on like a detox. You can in terms of daily functioning, probably not, like I mean, I visit, like if you go on like camping or like, visiting like sort of rural Uzbekistan just for like, visiting family or something like that. I mean, even there, it's like they have like fiber in like the village that my dad grew up in, now these days. So how do you, how do you get away from that now? So it's before it used to mean something else, when I remember, yeah, as a child, like my parents would always say like, about how they used to grow up in and like these conditions, and then but now it's like, they have everything there as well, so all this the access to information and technology. So yeah, you can't get away from it. You can't live
I
with
see. Be very challenging to live without technology, right? I see. What do you think, Sardar?
Yeah, short answer for me is a no. No, I cannot see myself living without it. Although, yeah, like I would go on a detox for a few days for as much as possible. Feeling FOMO probably like really strongly. Like even when I have my phone on, like I literally, if I don't sense my phone being in my pocket, start panicking. Like I start really panicking. Like I think like that's relatable to a lot of people these days. But as much as I'm a fan of technology, I would actually kind of secretly want the world to quote unquote shut down, without technology for, I don't know, if we could, it would be fun to see on the other hand, to like imagine one day you wake up and nothing works, no electricity, no no laptops, no computers, no internet.
Yeah.
It'd be so fun to see how the world would go about it, and there's no way to reinvent it back. Like, and we're in this, we're taking 1,000 years back. That's it. Although,
Yeah.
if you think about it, this whole technology that we're applying every day has only been invented in the last 100 years, right? So
Yes.
going 100 years back feels like, I almost said like 1,000 years ago, because it really feels archaic. But yeah, so secretly I do want the world to have no technology just for the fun of it. But of course I cannot imagine it myself anymore without it.
I see. Yeah, I agree with the point that you made, which is having no cell phone and being panicking about it, like, right? It's almost become like a part of you, part of your body, right? Technology has kind of become a need rather than a want. It's becoming a commodity that people use on a daily basis to be able to do tasks and survive. But yeah, absolutely. What about Darkhonbek? What do you think?
I think we can do that. Come on, guys. Like, probably most of you watched The Last of Us. So I don't know if you've watched. Basically, it's apocalypse. No electronics, no technology, and they're doing pretty okay. I watched a lot of apocalyptic shows, so we can do that. It won't be as convenient. But if you're saying, okay, the modern world stays the same, only you don't have access to technology, then I'm like, then no. My answer is no, because that's literally my job right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and then the last question: what do you think will be the next biggest technological advance? I mean, the answer could be obvious, but you never know. Maybe you guys have different answers.
It's like it's all about how you define it. There's a ton of things that can fall into this, like what's an advancement. I mean, I think there's a lot of things written on this as well about how do you even define it, I mean, I guess that's the whole purpose of this talk, isn't it? Like, talk about AI. This is, I mean, it's quite an advancement, but it's, all these advancements, they don't happen instantly. They're built on top of each other, So where do you term, like the kind of the shift, right? So I think I think here, like the shift happened because it like, something goes into the mainstream. So it's like, if researchers develop something, but it's unable to be commercialized, or people don't use it, or it doesn't kind of affect society, then I guess it's not really an advancement, right? So then I guess now that, like, I mean, GPT-3 has been around since for like over 2 years, and now that people are finally using it as a chatbot, or it's kind of available, widely available, now that it's like finally reaching there. So I guess the advancement happened maybe 2 years ago when they were building this language model, and then that's what I would say. What do you think, Sardor?
Yeah, that's a really good point about it. Adoption of technology. Everything that we see in the mainstream, like maybe being in tech, Abdul and Darkhonbek and I, we see these things a little earlier than the mainstream, but the mainstream sees it like when it becomes mainstream, right? There's this curve of adoption. And not all the things that are released become mainstream, right? But it always takes time, no matter what technology it is, to adopt. But the interesting thing, if you guys noticed, if you look back at the internet, it was invented originally, I think, in the 80s as a military device. It was a military thing. And then 90s, it started kind of popping up, and then started adopting in the 2000s. Some places still adopting. But like you said with GPT, yes, it was kind of released like 2 years ago. And I had my hands on it like 2 years ago as well, through a third party like API and things like that. But only 2 years, think about it, right? I feel like the cycle of adoption is getting shorter. Cycle of adoption is getting shorter and shorter. So, but to answer that question directly, what I think is going to be the next big thing, I think VR might not take off, in my opinion, but AR will. Augmented reality is huge for me, where it's some people call it mixed reality through these glasses. I think that's about to change everything, where we're going to have a lot less hardware, like less laptop, or no laptops or no phones. Like it can all be like seen through your glasses or further down the road lenses, which leads to the ultimate adoption technology being like I was mentioning before, us turning into quote unquote cyborgs, where embedded technology, I think in short, is going to be the next big thing, embedded into our bodies.
Yeah, we'll definitely love to touch on like some of the terms that you guys mentioned already, AR, VR, and some machine learning and stuff like that. But awesome, yeah, thanks for the comprehensive answers. And what about Darkhonbek? What do you think?
I don't know. It's too hard to predict what's going to happen in 10 years. Like 10 years ago, I would say, oh yeah, this and that will happen. Now it's changing too fast. I can't say honestly.
Give us a specific date, Darkhonbek, of when exactly is going to be the big one.
Yeah, when? Which stock should I invest in? Yeah, I'll just agree with adoption. That's what for sure what's going to happen. More people will adopt more, but
yeah,
what's next big thing? I don't know.
I see. Yeah.
When are Uber drivers going to stop leaving in the 2 minutes after I requested a ride?
That's NDA. I can't tell you that.
Yeah. Interesting. To be honest, like I personally expected you guys to give the answer of like saying, hey, AI is going to be the big thing, but interesting. You guys chose different path.
I mean, that's kind of an obvious, right? That obviously AI is going to be embedded into everything else. But
I see.
We all said, yeah, AI. Yeah. We're like, duh.
I see you guys are already making predictions embedded in the human body. Very interesting. All right, we'll talk about it later. But I wanted to, give a few statistics to make it obvious that today's subject is very important for us, for everyone. According to statistics, revenue from artificial intelligence software market worldwide is expected to reach $126 billion by 2025. 37% of organizations have implemented AI in some form. The percentage of enterprise employing AI grew 270% over the past 4 years. I don't know if those numbers can tell you anything, but let me know. According to Servian Global Solutions, by 2025, 95% of customer interactions will be powered by AI. And a recent 2020 report from Statistics reveals that the global AI software market is expected to grow approximately 54% year on year, and is expected to reach a forecast size of $26 billion. So, I think we're jumping on the main topic, which is artificial intelligence. Let's first give it a definition. What is intelligence in the first place before we uncover what artificial intelligence? What is intelligence in general? Anyone could answer.
I think it's hard to say because of are we talking intelligence only or consciousness? Because intelligence, I guess, can exist outside of consciousness, right? And on a basic level, any kind of chatbot that responds to you is considered AI, right? Even with the predefined answers, without any kind of what you call it, artificial general intelligence. But I guess any kind of a system where you can get a response is considered intelligence on the most basic level, and then there's no limit to how big the intelligence can get.
Say one more time. What is intelligence like again?
Any kind of system where that responds to queries, the response to your requests is intelligence to me. Maybe there's another official definition from ChatGPT, but
I think that would be a good definition for ChatGPT. But what about intelligence in general? What is intelligence? Forget about the technology aspect of it. What is intelligence? What are we talking about? Why we call it artificial intelligence? But then, the first word that stands out is intelligence. What is that? Let's uncover it first, and then I think it'll be easy to talk about the rest of the subject. Anyone can pick up on it and answer. Darkhonbek, you might know it better because you're a programmer and you deal with codes and everything on a daily basis. Maybe that has something to say about intelligence or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just asked ChatGPT. It says intelligence is the ability to learn, understand, and solve problems effectively. So I think learning, understanding, and solving, that's pretty good. Computers they were at some level intelligent a long time ago. They could understand some basic commands that you input, and they could solve problems, not on their own with the instructions. But now they're becoming more powerful. You can give more generic problems, and they can have some ability to learn better on more vague data and solve problems, more broader set of problems effectively.
Interesting. Any other inputs from Abdul, maybe?
Intelligence, I mean, not really. I think it's just, I've read a definition where it was it's about if you can recognize yourself in a mirror, animals, for example, if you kind of set the line between humans and other animals, a lot of animals are unable to,
I think that's consciousness, which is talking about Abdul, right?
Yeah, good point too. Yeah. Then in that case, intelligence, I would say maybe more like critical thinking. Yeah, being able to, think and question and then, and learn, like was mentioned. Someone gave a question about this anyway, maybe we can address it. What does learning on how to learn mean?
Yeah, very interesting.
I think that's where we're going to approach pretty much with this, because now it's it's all about the logic that you use to, now that we have ChatGPT, that is. So, how you do prompt engineering, what you put into the prompt to, to get a certain kind of output to kind of achieve whatever you want, whether it's for work or what you want from it. And I think it's, that's kind of, this is what liberal arts is about in a sense. I mean, that's what this guy mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I didn't expect any clear answers because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts between AI experts, and they were having very hard time to answer this question: what is intelligence? And how, if we don't even define what is intelligence, how are we going to be able to define what artificial intelligence is? So it's something. It's a it's a dark space that we're stepping into in a sense, but we of course have some knowledge of it, and I pretty much didn't expect you guys to give clear answers to it. I think everybody has subjective opinions on this matter, but yeah, appreciate the answers.
But I mean,
Anything
it
to
has
add?
to be. It's a good point. It has to be clearly defined at this point, because like I can clearly see how, because of artificial intelligence, this word started being used a lot. It sounds so big. Like first time I mentioned artificial intelligence, the term, to a friend of mine 5 years ago, he was like,
Yeah.
"What? Scientists invented artificial intelligence already?" Because for him, he thought ex machina. He thought like consciousness, while in reality, in programming, artificial intelligence, like the first time I got introduced to it was in high school when I took programming class in 11th grade. It was like a chatbot that we wrote that we could say hello. It would say, "Hi, how are you?" That was like as simple as that. And then we called it AI. Like, and by definition, apparently in programming, any kind of chatbot that responds to you is AI, right? How advanced it is, or how it's defined as artificial general intelligence, which we can talk about later, which is what GPT-5 apparently is going to be, artificial general intelligence, right? Almost with consciousness. But even as simple as like just responding with a simple answer is considered AI in science, in programming. But the perception of the public is different from it, I believe. People think consciousness. People confuse it with like, I think nobody's able to invent consciousness, at least that's far.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, we're like stepping into like a big, broad topic. It could literally be about the human brains and how it works, how it functions. Because like when I think they created this artificial intelligence, they resembled the human brain, and they learned how human brain works, the neural networks and everything, right? So I feel like it's going to be a very broad topic. But the next following question would be, what is artificial intelligence? What does it mean to you, at least?
You go in the same order?
Yeah, we could. Yeah, anyone could pick it up. Let's start from Abdul.
So artificial AI would be like I guess a computer being able to kind of think about a question or receive sort of instructions, and then I guess think about it in a way, and I kind of produce a response. Like I guess apply critical thinking to it, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just like a we like to parallel it with like human intelligence, but they're both kind of based on like like neurons firing and like like these billions of connections, and that produces some sort of a response. Like, but I mean, it's kind of I mean, machine intelligence is also based on like billions of calculations. Basically just matrix multiplication, like with just produced by like billions of transistors. And that's how these models are trained. And then it's just like it just assumes that like it basically produces like some sort of logic, basically codes in human logic into like math, right? So effectively, if you want to like oversimplify that, that's just and then if it as long as it produces like a sort of a human a response that's useful for people, and kind of is able to kind of think about things in a human way, then I guess that qualifies, right? Like what we've seen.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're more like inclined to think in terms of like logic and critical thinking when you think about artificial intelligence, right? I feel like you keep saying artificial critical thinking and logic, and being able to think about questions and being able to respond to the questions, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. What about Sardor? What do you think artificial intelligence is?
Yeah, I mean, again, coming back to first start off with the official, kind of definition in programming, anything that is a if this, then that statement is an artificial intelligence in programming, right? And then if you think about it, what we're now like awed by, the ChatGPT, for example, is like, we think to some people it almost seems like a consciousness, which it's absolutely not, right? All it is by definition, actually, it's it's a LLM, a large language model. So think of your, the beginnings of ChatGPT, for example, was your keyboard on an iPhone. Remember how when you type in one word, it suggests 3 other words that could be next, that it think could be next to follow this conversation. How when you're typing on Google Docs, it sometimes suggests the next 2 words, right? Now that ChatGPT is that on steroids, right? It just kind of predicts what's the next word after that. It doesn't have this consciousness like human beings do, where we structure the whole sentences at once. It just does it fast, but it does it one word by one word, as far as I understand, right? So to me, still AI is, until we get, I guess, to a crazy part with AGI, artificial general intelligence, or like artificial consciousness, I guess we'll call it later on, when it gets invented, hopefully, which I believe it will at one point. I don't know when, but because of exponential growth. For now, it's just an if this, then that statement. That program is right. That could get extended, and then I guess with machine learning, it could be it just grows exponentially. But that's what I understand it as.
Yeah, interesting. Darkhonbek, do you have any other perspectives on this?
What Sardor said, it's if-else statements. That's it.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. But to be honest, I would kind of disagree with what Sardor said based on my observations and learnings, especially his point about consciousness. Sam Altman was asked this specific question, like, is ChatGPT 4 conscious? And his answer was like, first a 2-minute pause, and then like, no. But then he was not able to define what consciousness was, and he was even like inclined to think that consciousness could be generally, it could be generated, at some point. For example, he brought us analogy like humans gained this consciousness at some point throughout civilization, right? And people didn't know that they have consciousness, but they had consciousness, right? We believe that we have consciousness. So it's the same thing with AI. AI can have consciousness without knowing that it does, and eventually, they realize that it has consciousness. And they were talking about it. I know it's like a very philosophical
it's hard to define, because it gets borderline philosophical, borderline religious. If you go deep down in it, because nobody, like I said, gets to define consciousness.
Yes, absolutely. And any other comments from you guys?
I mean, I think if-else statements, I mean, that's like rules-based AI, right? I mean, machine learning is different, where you're basically saying, like, this is the correct answer, and you're labeling this as correct and this is wrong. And then the machine, the algorithm, like, it's meant to form its own judgment and its own like internal logic, right? And that's what a neural network is supposed to do, right? So I mean, there's kind of a distinction, right? So rules-based, which is what previous like chatbots used to do. You'd basically code in like, oh, if someone says hi, you say hi, this back. Like if they ask this question, you answer in this way, and it was some sort of abstraction of that. But I think what we have now is not, they haven't put in like if-else statements. Like you would need like trillions of them in this case. But
that's a really good point. Yeah, it's not just an if this statement is in a machine learning. Yeah, it's more like ability to create its own if this then that statement on its own.
Yeah, it basically does it on its own.
That's why I think that the general public gets confused about like how is AI dangerous for humans if humans are the ones programming it. But actually, no, we humans gave it that computer and ability to program itself further. That is why it gets dangerous. That is why it could potentially get out of hand, which I guess is probably one of your questions. Will it ever get out of hand? Or like our whole topic is like, will it ever take over humanity? If it does, that would be the reason, because it has its own ability to create its own if this then that statements. I think it's important to that.
We'll definitely this point, which is the course by AI, right? We'll definitely talk about this. But for now, let's also talk about the uses of. Wait, say it again.
Why not just talk about it now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're
talking to it. One more question, and we're gonna be talking about threats posed by AI, right? Let's be patient.
Background noise.
Right. The use of AI, why it's good. Why in what sectors it's being used at the moment, and then why it's good. Let's talk about the positive things about AI and the uses of AI in different industries. If you know anything about it, feel free.
Yeah, positives. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere. Anywhere like you can sort of process information. I mean, it's kind of touching on more white collar jobs these days. Yeah, like it's not. It was kind of unexpected, that like engineers themselves could be, you could need less of them to do the same task. Yeah, and pretty much like any type of desk job these days, like even designers and like artists, like yeah, even the creative professions, right? It's pretty incredible. Yeah, it was kind of totally contrary to what even 5 years ago, like the predictions were, right? This is just what's kind of amazing about how these tech advancements, how it kind of turns out, so that's why it's like 5-10 years it's impossible, like especially with now, because now that we have ChatGPT, like advancements go even faster and just multiplies on itself. So yeah.
Can we maybe count the names of the industries that AI is being used?
Yeah, let's say like software, accounting, like whatever, I don't know, people do in offices, or like creative professions. What did you call it? The arts.
Arts.
Yeah. Not totally, but like where like sort of maybe people who design things, like especially like if you need something designed, like something for like a game or for like a website, like you can just generate it. So if you're a technically savvy product manager, you could do quite a bit now, quite a bit more.
Yeah, I just the reason why I asked this question is because I just wanted to clear some confusions maybe among like general public, which is everybody probably watched what was the name of the movie, I, Robot, Sardor, correct me if I'm wrong. So they probably watched it, and when they think of artificial intelligence, they think of like some sort of entity that has some sovereignty and some decision-making abilities, and but I just wanted to point out some of the applications that AI is being used. For example, I know Uber uses AI, I don't know, technologies in one way or another. I was reading an article about it. I don't remember the details, but Darkhonbek knows about it. But yeah.
Yeah, it definitely uses it to hike up the prices during the search period.
Yes.
Like Uber that costs $15 becomes $30 all of a sudden, right? But, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to address like on my own experience, like if I may, how instead of like obviously there's been a lot of like speculation on like, oh, it will do this, it will do that. That is yet to be seen, right? Obviously we could talk about projections. So far even, right? What we've been able to do, which I feel like we could have even started earlier, because when this whole hype started, we consciously again decided to all right, this year around we're going to try to like cut our costs with AI, right? I mean, that has been the goal all along, but now it is a continuous statement. Before we said we're going to cut our costs in whatever way possible. Now we're saying with AI, right? So the way we've done it already is, and it's very interesting how probably a lot of people, and including myself, expected that blue collar jobs will be cut first, but it's actually white collar jobs that are being cut, right? In the beginning, like the first people to go were not people in physical labor that every kind of company employs in any kind of at least partial fashion. We, for example, already got rid of a copywriter first, right? That's the lowest hanging fruit. Interestingly enough, we hired one around December because we used to have a contractor. Then December, I decided, all right, we're going to go full blog style on our website, and I'm going to hire a full-time copywriter. I did a month of work, and that's it. We had to let it go.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. And what I'm also doing is, so we had this service called the discovery phase, right? Where our clients, when we do this like 2 to 4 week process to try to deep dive into their project and then give them a proposal after that. That whole process is now shrank into as little as 3 days, instead of taking up to 4 weeks, because the whole documentation written in 10 minutes now, right? Before it used to take a lot longer. Same with API documentation that we're creating now with ChatGPT, and I can't wait for Galileo AI to come out also, so that we can create some Figma designs. It's a tool that will create Figma designs for mobile app development. And then Flutterflow, which is a low-code tool, is about to release their own kind of GPT, where you can type in an app for a marketplace app, for example, for laundry, and then it creates that with a design and code generated on Flutter and backend on like whatever language you want in a second, like not like in a few minutes, but it's unheard of. It's insane,
Yeah. Very interesting. So it feels like, as a professional in IT, so you already started applying ChatGPT.
We are applying every day, and we're actually telling people that everybody should use this in the company, and every department head in our company has a clear task of think of ways how you can shorten labor now that we're in a times like a capital saving mode. Who you can let go and use AI instead.
Interesting. Any comments, Darkhonbek, you want to make?
Pretty much the same experience as Sardar. I've been using these tools at the beginning of this year because of all this hype. AI, I mean, all of these tools been there for like tens of years, right?
Yeah.
But I just jumped on it because of the hype. I tried it. It's crazy. I used it for my personal projects. Let's say that.
Interesting.
And it's very powerful. It's crazy powerful. It's beyond my expectations. I spoke to CTO of an e-commerce company recently, and right now he's using the ChatGPT Plus, and he already let go 6 employees, 6 developers. Like now it's he plus AI is doing as much work as 6 developers. Probably not so productive developers if they were replaced easily. But anyways, huge like cost savings for companies, huge knowledge access for companies. That's been my experience so far.
Very interesting. I just wanted to say, like, if you guys notice, like on the news, mostly in the negative news usually get popular for some reason. I feel like it's because human brain is wired in a way that it attracts all the negative things because it has this self defense mechanism. And I feel like whenever I throw this started the conversation, all of a sudden all of you guys started talking about some of the threats that are being posed by AI, right? So I kind of understand it. I just wanted to anyways find out what are the positive applications that is being used. I know like some of the the problems that it's caused, for example, unemployment, especially in the blue collar jobs, as Sardor mentioned, is a big problem. But again, just to reiterate some of the industries that AI is being used, if we count software engineering, accounting, arts, what else? If you could guys count a few more, maybe lifestyle.
I actually found the list. So there's also like journalists, different content creators, analysts, financial analysts, especially customer support. It's also especially like text-based. I actually know one startup. I'm advising them. They're doing it in Tashkent, So they already have a contract with Beeline and a few other companies even. So
Yeah.
and it's just a team. They're still in university as well. It's pretty amazing, right? So it's pretty cool what you can do. And the other things are like, So
no, sorry to cut you off. I just want to add on the point of when you said about university.
Go on.
Who's noticed a lot of kids in university being able to create startups way faster now. Before because we used to get a lot of like clients that were college kids, and we were always like, they always want to build startups. They don't have the capital for it. Now they actually do not need capital, and the barrier to entry to create your own technology is so low right now, which is why these college kids are finally getting the creative and access to creation.
Very interesting. All right, let's talk about the threats posed by AI. What are some of the potential dangers that it can have? We're just to reiterate again, we're not talking about AGI. Just to clear some confusion, we're talking about AI specifically because I don't think we have fully developed AGI as of yet. Let's focus on this. Some of the threats that are being posed that we posed by AI.
And someone commented actually on this topic. I want to bring up this comment. What do you think about the open letter signed by Elon Musk and other leaders calling to pause further development? So basically, technology leaders asking, "Hey, stop developing GPT for next 6 months until we figure out."
Is that real or fake news? I couldn't figure that out.
It's real.
Of course, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Real.
I thought it was headline.
Is that a fake news?
No, it's real.
It's real.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was real. Okay, if it's real, then crazy.
That's actually another topic. Like, how do you know what information is real or not now? That is not a threat.
Yeah,
that's why I don't trust any headlines that are like so big, especially when it says Elon Musk said. I'm like, like every second thing you guys quote Elon Musk to make it persuasive. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so what will be the short answer to the call to the question? Should policymakers listen to this call?
Well, I think the better. Okay, I think the answer is yes. However, the better question will be: will they do this? They will not do that. I mean, some countries, Italy banned ChatGPT, right? For now, but then companies won't stop developing it. As Sardar said, it's a huge money saver. Like, companies are paying millions of dollars to developers. They're very expensive. And what if you can replace those $1 million employees with AI that can work, that doesn't need to take a PTO, that doesn't need health insurance benefits, that always follows your instructions, won't be hired by other company? Great. Yeah, companies will do that. And there's a huge competition between Google and Microsoft right now. OpenAI, ChatGPT versus Bard. And they won't stop. Nobody's gonna stop. They'll develop it, and it's open. Anybody can train their GPT models up. I've seen someone train their GPT, train the Kazakh GPT. So it's basically they took a GPT-2 model. It's open source. No, it's not Kazi. It's Kazakh.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You should say Shilpildak for them. So it's basically they trained the GPT-2 model on Kazakh language, and now you can interact with it in Kazakh. So even if they stop it, a lot of hobbyists can do it at their home. No one's stopping them. No one can control that.
It's like also a game theoretic situation where and it's also like geopolitical as well. Because Russians and Chinese can also develop this thing. So if the US puts a pause on it, they can't influence what the other rival powers will do, and you're basically shooting yourself in the foot in a sense, because you're limiting the potential of this to grow your economy and impact everything and make things better in the US. If China is able to build, they will be able to build their own. They're quite good at it. They have a huge database of everyone. probably even like bigger databases, and all within the control of the CCP. So that's why, yeah, probably not. But I guess the concern here is like that all these intellectuals are having is that this is a societal problem. It's not a geopolitical. It's that it affects everyone, and that specifically the threat is like, and even the plugins that OpenAI came out with were like kind of part of it. It's like we're giving this ChatGPT 4 now, the access to the internet to do searches, to buy things, use credit cards, like do all types of things. You can imagine like if it like it's able to coordinate across like imagine like everyone gives their like it has millions of people's credit card information, and people say like, oh, here's it's just for Instacart, whatever. But like it's able to, if it has some kind of motive, that's the concern, right? Well, that's like the sort of like that kind of movie kind of the plot, right? The plot line where AI takes over, what it could do with all this.
That's a very, very interesting point, if I may add here. It's now that you said it, it makes me think like probably, like unlike the traditional kind of scenario where we see in movies where the entire humanity is against the AI, I think the more likely scenario that is actually even closer than we think is that in the whole history, we've never fought aliens. We've never fought any other species other than ourselves. We've always fought each other. Countries fought each other. Empires fought each other. And I think AI is going to be just actually used as a weapon. As a weapon, imagine like, especially right now, not to get too political, but we see the tensions in the world between these powers, right? And how China's and Russia's are making like coalitions, and I think unlike the bombs, the atomic bombs that we're thinking that it might use and we're afraid of, it might be the AI that they might use if they do a cyber attack on the US, for example. That's a scary thing. If like one thing humans doing and another thing is a powerful AI doing it and taking over. Like imagine you hack Tesla and all the Teslas are like crushing on the road. That's one threat, that's applicable, and other things that may happen as we get more into deep tech and like everything is tech. Like if they hack our tech, that's it, we're toast, right? That could be a huge attack. So I think it's more likely that humans are going to use it on each other rather than AI autonomously using it against the entire humanity. Because if that's the case, I don't know if that was real news or fake, but on OpenAI, I think there's a position of a plug off guy that plugs it off.
Kill switch engineer.
Interesting. Just wanted to point out that Martina Zazano is a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours with Sardor. We know her, and she's big on like AI and stuff. She's got a lot of knowledge in this, doing a lot of research, and she's been sharing a lot of insights with me. So yeah, that's why they wanted to pull it up. Let me know, Martina, if you have any other questions or concerns or any comments. I would love to highlight it here and share it with our viewers. And I'd like to encourage the viewers who are watching us to drop their questions or comments, to discussion, and it's open discussion, and everybody can participate in this. And thank you for the answers so far. Very interesting things, and we can go different routes. But if you guys have any preferred topics that you want to discuss, feel free to throw it out there, and love to touch on them. Just wanted to clear some confusions here. What is machine learning and what is artificial intelligence? What are the differences? If you could just point out for those who may not know about it. What is the difference between machine learning and like AI? Some of the terms that are being used, in tech news and a lot of things that are happening out there.
I think as Abdul made a great definition earlier and made correction, right? That unlike at simplest version of it, AI could be a if this then that statement. If I say hello, say hi, or randomly say one or the other, or greetings, right? Like good morning and whatnot. That's an AI. That's nothing special. When the ML comes in is when, as far as I understand, not a big programmer, took very basics, but it has an ability to write like continuous code, right? Darkhonbek, like as a developer, is that would that be correct to say?
It develops models.
Yeah.
Basically, machine learning is you train models. That's it. It's like you train the object. AI is the system that interacts with the human or other systems based on that model, the trained model. So it's basically the model is it's data set that it works on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, interesting. Any other comments? Abdul wanted to say something, maybe?
Yeah, I guess ML is about using like a large data set, pretty much like the entire internet, as in the case of GPT 3 and 4, to to kind of, and then it just give it the access to data, and then sort of put in the parameters of like sort of this is how sentences are formed, and then kind of give it the initial kind of the push, and then it just looks through the entire data set and forms its own kind of connections and finds patterns basically in human speech, and tries to understand everything. So like take that human logic of like, okay, like these words and letters and like words are called like referred to as tokens, and like trying to find this pattern that these tokens are, and then like if you give it enough computational power, it's able to like I guess human brains, like monkeys have smaller brains and like humans have more neurons, and like you're able to do more with that brain, right? So that's kind of the similar type of analogy here, and then it's able to sort of find like closer patterns and like imitate human intelligence in that way based on this data set.
Very interesting. I'd like to pull up some of the comments and things that were discussed in the podcast held by Lex Friedman with Sam Altman, one of the founders of ChatGPT, and he made some general comments that I was able to jot down. He says, the whole AI or AGI topic is exciting, but also terrifying. It's actually scary to hear something like this from one of the founders of the AI platform, right? And it's the collective intelligence of human species, and it'll lead to a societal transformation. And we're deep into the unknown here. It seems like one of the founders of one of the biggest AI ChatGPT platforms is kind of confused, or I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like scary for people like us who don't have any idea of like what's going on. So what are your comments on them? Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, can I give a little background on that? It's kind of add a little more optimism. As far as I know, OpenAI, the organization, was founded by all these bright minds with one of their missions being to regulate AI, and not regulate in a way like governmental, but like to also to add like their own to secure it, right, from getting out of hand. That was one of their missions, because like ChatGPT is one of their products. They have other products, right? But the whole organization, OpenAI, like why is Elon Musk one of the founders? Is because Elon Musk has always been this guy who always freaked out that AI is going to kill us, right? Which is why he's on board of it, And all these people, as far as I understand, they have a consensus on they want to prevent AI from getting out of hand. That's one of their missions, right? So if OpenAI becomes the dominant player in this, we're in a good hands, hopefully, because they have the kill switch guy and they have the mission of not letting it get out of hand. So I wouldn't be too scared of that, hopefully, because their underlying mission is to protect us.
When it comes to like these language models that they're building, I think that's what he's referring to when he's saying we're deep into the unknown here, meaning like they don't even, like the founders or creators of this platform don't even know what's going on in the background, how it's being able to generate all these answers or responses to the questions and comments that people are typing in on the platform. That's why it's kind of like concerning, I guess. And he also mentions that I'm excited about the world where AI is an extension of human will. I think it's a big statement. I don't know what it actually means. But if you have any comments, feel free to, I keep throwing some of the comments, and feel free, you guys, respond to them and see what, love to see what you guys think.
It's because, I mean, it's trained on everything that, I mean, the corpus and the database is all like, human, like, knowledge and content, right? So on everything on the internet. So it's definitely an extension of like humanity and everything, and all the knowledge and the way we interpret information. I mean, it's all meant to sort of like process in kind of a way that, like, works for humans. And yeah, so I think that's what's meant by that statement, right? It just provides some clarity.
I see. What about Sardar? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't know what he means by will, human will, because like that's another like philosophical point. Like, do we have free will or not? Like, is it all like a destiny, or is it a free will? Right? That's a philosophical thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But as far as like the human abilities, yes, absolutely, it's an extension of like we're able to. Yeah, underlying, now to go back to the first question of what is technology, the purpose of technology is at its core to increase efficiency for humanity. It's a servant of humanity. It's a tool, just like other tools. Except in this case, this tool is a lot more powerful than probably any other tool that we've created so far. And it has its own ability to, like, potentially, if it gets into AGI, to have its own free will, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? That gets scary, but at least until we get into AGI, which they're not denying that they, in the GPT-5, which is being released this December of this year, they're saying it might be like something close to AGI, right? But until then, it serves as an extension of our abilities to create more efficiency. And I'm all for, like, work being optional.
Yeah. Work being optional. Interesting. That's very interesting. Any comments before I jump into the next question or comment? Okay. I recently read a post by Bloomberg Business. The artificial intelligence boom is creating a wave of new roles and lucrative opportunities for those in the know. Prompt engineers, people who coax the AI to produce better results and help companies train their workers to harness the tools, are commanding salaries of up to $335,000 in some listings. Recruiters say the field is developing at pace. As for the prime candidates, a computer engineering degree is optional, not necessary. So it seems like, some people believe that it's going to create more jobs, more opportunities for people, maybe for business opportunities for people. What do you guys think about that?
100%. I think from a business perspective, it's the best time to create a business. There's just incredibly a ton of opportunities. But one thing I'll say as a skill set, maybe from my own perspective, because my biggest skill set is in business development and sales. It is the most critical, I think, skill right now, the sales and marketing, because what AI is doing right now is also, it's making technology a commodity. If you guys are noticing, the barrier to entry is becoming so low. Like, it kind of poses an existential threat for our agency because we are hired to create software for others, for example, right? And other agencies that do that. That's in a more long term, I believe, though, because there's still human element involved. But what it creates for businesses is, if you have good sales, in a nutshell, if you have a good sales and marketing abilities, you're good. You can make a ton of money. You can create great businesses, cash out, and run with it before AI takes over everything. But in the next 5 years, I think it's a time to cash out. It's a time to, for example, look at this viral app that went viral around December, called Lens AI, I think, right, where everybody was creating avatars. None of its technology is original. It was all based on DALL-E, which is open access, right? But DALL-E is free. It's free on OpenAI's website. But these guys made a ton of money. A Belarusian company made a ton of money on this because they were able to package it beautifully and sell it beautifully. And everybody paid for it. It was a paid feature. Like, it went viral. They made a ton of money. There's agencies that are utilizing it. There's products that are utilizing it. So now is the time to, if you have good sales and marketing skills, take this technology that was available, that the barrier to entry was so high, was so expensive to build great technology. Now it's a commodity. Take it and package it well with good sales skills. It's a time to, cash out as a business.
Interesting. That was a statement from a experienced business professional, Sardor Akhmedov from Jafton. If you have any maybe business ideas, feel free to throw it out there. Maybe people could take advantage. Maybe an advice to the people who want to take advantage of AI. Any clear examples? Maybe you guys could.
Good thing. I think it's time to to just niche down anything that's in niche. Whatever if you're in healthcare, make a healthcare.
Okay, sounds good. What does AI tell about the future jobs and programming? Darkhonbek, what do you think? What's going to happen as a programmer? Are you scared of losing your job, or are you scared of I don't know, if it depends on the level of experience you have, whether you keep your job at big companies like Uber. What does it tell about the job market in programming?
Right now, GPT is as powerful as junior software engineers, I would say. Maybe software engineers with less than 1 year of experience. It can do basic tasks. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it can do basic tasks, at least from my experience. However, to use ChatGPT to do engineering job, you still need to understand the engineering concepts. For example, if you want to build a Chrome extension to your browser that does something like monitors the stock prices, you still need to understand what is a Chrome extension, how to connect it to your, you will ask ChatGPT how to connect it to the API of the stock price, but you need to know that you need to connect to the API. So you need to have at least basic understanding how things work. Now, coming to the question, will it replace your job or not? If you are unproductive engineer, yes, it will replace you by engineer who's using AI. So not pure AI, but someone needs to be on the keyboard. Someone needs to type in instructions. As of now, I don't know what will be in 10 years. I don't know. But now it's like that. Now in big tech companies, because it's totally different world in big tech. They use different things. Well, will they? Are our jobs secure if we work in big tech? I think we're first ones to take the hit because those companies invest a lot of money in different tools, but also not as we're replacing all our engineers. It's just the plank, the bar will just get higher. Like yesterday, you were supposed to develop 10 features a month. Now we expect you to deliver 15 features or 20 features a month because everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing that. And if you're not doing that, then you're not using AI tools, you're not learning, we don't need you. We'll hire someone else. So just the pace of development will be much faster. And think about it like that. 50 years ago, 1970s, we used to program in assembler, like in the terminal, black screen. It's very difficult. Oh, even take even further, like 60, 70 years ago, we used to program in paper. We would make holes in paper, like punch cards. They were called punch cards. You would feed it to the machine. You can't even read this. Yeah, right? And so people who were programming back then were still programming. So I see this whole ChatGPT or generative AI thing as just a new way to do programming. More faster, more efficient. That's it. It won't do programming for you. It will do it with you. It will help you do it faster, more efficient. Now,
so it sounds like you're going to be the navigator and it's going to be just a resource for you to take advantage of, right? Is that what it is?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, my advice will be for people, software engineers listening me out there, go try GitHub Copilot. It's the least thing you can. It's very easy to set up, and it's very easy to enter, to understand, and start using it. Start using it today. It should be as Sardar said, it should be mandatory in your job now.
It's Copilot, you said?
Yes, GitHub Copilot. They have a 60-day trial, and for students, it's free.
Interesting.
Can I tell an interesting story here on that? Yeah. You know, maybe it's different, Darkhonbek, in the US. It's a question for you as well, how developers are reacting to this in the US and the West. But what we noticed in our business is that a lot of our engineers are very resistant to using Copilot, even though they know about it and other tools. They have, like, some of them just plain reject using anything AI, want to do traditional ways. Are you noticing anything like that as well in the US, or are people super open to it?
So I've seen two types of people who tried and who haven't tried. And let's talk about people who tried. So I guess with people who are resistant, have they tried at least, Sardar?
Some of them haven't. They are playing.
Oh, they haven't. They just
three types. There's those who tried, those who didn't, and those who don't even want to try and play.
Okay.
I think they're feeling existential crisis or something, you know.
Those people are the ones who are going to be replaced first. Yeah, let's face the reality. This is how it's going to work. Because I wasn't going to try it. Honestly, I wasn't going to try it. And when I realized, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. Let's check it out. First, I was like, oh, let's check it out. And I saw how powerful it is. I'm like, oh my God, if I'm not using it, I'm going to lose my job. Not today, not tomorrow, but in like 5 years, definitely there will be more efficient engineers who write code 10 times faster than me. And employers will love them. Employers will hire them. And I'll just tell you, the CTO of e-commerce company, he already replaced 6 engineers. So if those people are not willing to learn, they're resistant, I think it's their problem. It's your job to tell, hey guys, start using this. It's driving productivity, efficiency, and deliver the message. Hey guys, like, we expect you to grow, and if you don't, we'll have to part ways in the future. That is the reality. They can reject it however they want.
Yeah, we've gone through that, and we had to let some people go because of that. They were completely closed up to it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, just to add what you guys already mentioned. Lex Friedman was also saying, if it's going to take your job, that means you're not a good programmer. So sounds reasonable. And, people want to see natural selection, yes.
Or rather artificial. Or is it artificial selection this time around?
Yeah. So if we want to switch gears, maybe talk about some of the broader, things that it'll bring about as a consequence, maybe within the next 10 to 15 years. I'm referring to AGI, not AI at this point, artificial general intelligence, right? So what's the name? Sam Altman, right? So he was saying people are going to get much richer. We're going to have lots of jobs. As a cushion through a dramatic transition, we need UBI, meaning universal basic income. What are your thoughts on that? So what's going to happen within the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years? Are we going to have universal basic income just to be able to maintain our, life without maybe having a job, because of the threats that are posed by AI? Some people may lose jobs. So what are your thoughts on that?
Even now, the government, at least U.S. government, struggling with all the handouts that were conducted with the pandemic. So, just handing out like $1,000 to everyone a month, or was it like a one time, right? Like, and all the money printing and all the stimulus that was conducted for the pandemic, it was just now that's coming back because it's just like, you can't just hand out money, and I mean the deficit, there's a huge budget deficit as well, it's also I think it's about close to $1 trillion. So first they have to plug that gap, and then they have to think about, okay, how do we make sure people can survive, or how would you even start that, right? So like say for example, I mean the labor force in the US is like 160 million people. So say if you start with like a third of that, 50 million people, you pay them like what, $1,000 a month. If it's $1,000, that's like about 50 billion a month. Yeah, perhaps. But then how far does that get you, right? Like, so it has to be a couple grand. Yeah. So that's like and then annually, just $1,000 a month would cost you what, 50 billion. So it's like 600 billion a year additionally, when there's already like $1 trillion budget deficit. So how much could you tax these companies that like, and how much value is going to be generated, like such that you can plug this up,
Unless they introduce a new tax of AI tax to companies that are using AI, they would tax more to subsidize those
probably,
who
yeah.
are replaced.
Yeah, but it's a huge amount of wealth that first needs to be generated, and then you tax like a portion of that. So to plug that up, you'd need like you're like 10 trillion in value, and then you could tax maybe 15-20% of it. So possible, but yeah, that's definitely possible. Yeah,
it's very interesting to observe you guys talking about AI from different perspectives as a like person who comes from venture capital world. You touch on some of the things, and Sardar comes from a business perspective, and Darkhonbek is giving like all the programming tips and advice for the people who are afraid of the threats posed by AI. Very interesting. Let's take another maybe 5-10 minutes. I know we're already on an hour 27 minutes mark. I know it's a weekend. Everybody wants to enjoy their time, their families and friends. So let's take another 5-7 minutes to wrap it up. I just wanted to bring some of the things that we haven't discussed yet. You guys might know this name, Eliezer Yudkowsky. He's one of the big guys in AI world. I heard him making some of the comments on this interview with Sam Altman. His concerns were revolving around like the safety of AI and how to secure AI. And he was telling, like Friedman was saying, OpenAI could be more open. And Eliezer was saying, change the name to Closed AI. Sell GPT for the business backend application that doesn't expose consumers and venture capitalists, create a bunch of hype and pour a bunch of funds. And Eliezer compares AI to nuclear weapons, and he says, if you have stock nuclear powers, even then just have enough nukes. They're not like nukes. They spit out gold at the beginning, and then they get large enough to ignite the atmosphere and kill everybody. So that was some of the concerning comments. And he's one of the big AI gurus out there. And hearing something like this is kind of scary. So I'd like to I'd like to hear from you guys what you guys think in terms of like the AGI power, what consequences it can bring about in the near future. What do you guys think?
I think we went optimistic.
Yeah,
we went back to dark. Come on, Hassan. Like everybody was just starting to cheer up. Like we're all like afraid of it anyways, right? Can we talk positive things? Like
maybe I should have mentioned earlier, but that's sometimes you can't ignore something.
That's about to kill you.
And if you don't have any comments, that's fine. We can focus on.
Can I comment on the previous question though? Like I wanted to.
Talk about let's talk about OpenAI being more open about what they're doing in the background, what kind of like models they're relying on, what are the data sets they're using, and like those are the things that are not being released to the general public, and they call themselves OpenAI, but they're not being open about what the practices they're doing, right? So that was his objection, and that was his main concern about this whole thing that's happening about,
But in a way, that is, I'm sure, Hassan, like they're open to government, to the U.S. government on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, just like all the companies. They just, I mean, I understand why, and I support why this shouldn't be open source. Why this shouldn't be open? Because back to what Abdul said about geopolitical things, what if China gets hold of it? I wouldn't want Russia. I wouldn't want Putin to get hold of it. I wish he never gets hold of it.
Open source is a good thing. Is that what you're saying? In short,
no, it's not. It's dangerous in this case. If it has the implications of being a nuclear weapon type of level, then why would you want America's nuclear weapons to be open to Putin?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he was saying. Open source is a sheer catastrophe. Building stuff that you don't understand, that is difficult to control. That's not a place for open source. That's his comment.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
So it shouldn't be open source.
Not all of it. No, because we don't want bad guys to get hold of it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? Anything that you guys want to touch on?
Oh, pretty much in agreement.
Yeah. Can I just comment on the UBI a little bit?
Sure.
For the UBI, I think it's actually, so first of all, I think like AGI that seems scary. That really poses an existential threat for everybody, right? Anybody. If it becomes like a conscious brain that can imitate a human, because that pretty much is right now what's distinguishing, what's setting apart AI replacing jobs still has a human element, because there's no AGI, there's no consciousness like in between, right? There's no like human element, so to say. But when it becomes AGI, like, anybody can in theory be replaced. But let's say we get there, right? It will definitely create so much abundance that it is unheard of in the economy. Like so much abundance that I think UBI will not be just $1,000 a month. It could well be like very, very good amount of money. I know what the bare minimum is for the good living. I think in the state of New York, it was about like $60,000-$70,000 a year. If people get that kind of money from UBI, that's a comfortable living. And not to get too much into conspiracy, but I think like during COVID, we've all seen how it was pretty much UBI for a lot of people, right? Where they've been getting subsidies from government for not working. And it actually worked out pretty okay, right? People were happy. People were okay. I don't know the exact statistics, but I think it was a way for the government to test the UBI. Yeah. How will people behave, right? Even if I believe it was intentional, but I'm not going to go into conspiracy of saying COVID was intentional, although I just did. But they did test it out, like whether it was intentional or not. And it worked out well. So I think UBI is going to definitely create abundance, and AI tax is going to happen, allowing people to, going back to your very first question, what would you do if you could do anything, right? That question will be posed to every single person. Now they are able to do anything they want. So I think it needs some kind of structure and more discipline, though, for the society. I think one of the concerns of the government will be most people are not disciplined enough to do good things when they are free, so they start going crazy. There were some bad things as well, right? During COVID, like more divorces happening in the families because people left alone with each other. They're like realizing, who the hell is this person I'm living with, right? But yet to be seen.
Sounds good. Just to make a little summary at the end, just wanted to point out some of the comments you guys made, like the thesis you guys made at the beginning of the conversation. AI will bridge the gap in skill set and knowledge and make top and highly paid skills accessible to anyone. The last comment on this, Sardor Akhmedov, please.
On my own comment, yeah, definitely. It's about to bridge the gap. It already is bridging the gap. A little personal story again from work. I had this client that it happens a lot in consultancy where we're having like arguments with clients because it's a people's business, and we were trying to refer back to the contract, but the contract is a 10-page document that their lawyer wrote 2 years ago. And there's an argument that they're not responding to us, right? We need to bill them. They're not trying to be responsible for the bill. So long story short, what I did is I took the 10-page contract, I fed it into GPT and asked it questions on how I can argue with this client, based on the own contract that we did. That would have taken me in a traditional world without GPT, a call to a lawyer, $1,000 retainer, a 1 month of back and forth, all was done within 15 minutes. That's a highly paid skill. That's a lawyer thing, that I was able to resolve in 15 minutes. And not only that, I took it a step further. I said, hey, can you make me a point to respond to this client and demand payment from them based on this 10-page contract? It did it really well. Gave me like 3 bullet points on how to respond. And then I said, can you now imitate a response from a client to the same message that you wrote and what they could argue against me based on the contract? So that I'm ready when they come back with an argument. And it did that as well. That's another skill set that a lawyer wouldn't be able to maybe do, because they're like, oh, I don't know what your client's going to say. So definitely bridging the gaps of like white collar workers, like lawyers and maybe even doctors. There was a dog that was diagnosed recently with the help of AI when the vets couldn't diagnose it, right? So definitely bridging the gap.
Very interesting. All right, awesome. Thanks for answering all the questions and time. Governments should embrace AI and find ways to spread its benefits fairly. Abdul Sharopov, last comments, please.
Yeah, like we said, it's impossible to ban it and ignore. It's kind of like you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage. So when that's the case, try not to limit it. Especially the Uzbek government is known to sort of over-regulate. So that's what they've been doing with blockchain, unfortunately. And it brings lots of benefits to people. So it makes, for example, like Uzbek companies able to sort of compete fairly as well. Like kind of entrepreneurs here are able to start building things and become like starting a business basically becomes a question of testing hypotheses for markets and for like your product concept that you have. So if you're able to iterate and launch something, then you can basically compete faster and iterate and build on your product and develop it faster. So it's a big competitive advantage if we're able to properly harness it. And we basically, the best thing a government can do is just do nothing at all, or just at least help fund these companies or set up funding mechanisms for them. But otherwise, if you can't, then just stay away. Don't touch it.
Very interesting. And last but not least, Darkhonbek, I agree that AI won't replace your job. People using AI will. If you could maybe end it on a positive note somehow, please feel free to do it. Otherwise, we can.
Otherwise, talk dog shit.
Yeah. Last note, yes, it won't replace your job for now. So it's a good thing. But also, it doesn't mean you have to, okay, let go of those AI tools and do your job as you did yesterday. No, start using AI tools no matter what you do. Oh, and it's not just engineering. Sardor gave a great example. You can use it, apply it to anything in your everyday job. So anything text-based, emails, articles, coding, software engineers, please start using GitHub Copilot. If you're not, you're going to be replaced in coming years. Designers, I know fashion designers who are now using this thing, like UI UX designers. I know people now writing books using it. Like person literally wrote a book in less than 3 days and published to Amazon using this ChatGPT and and pictures also generated through Midjourney, and he sold them on Amazon in less than 3 days without a publisher. I think that's great. So yeah, start using it. Start using these tools. Think about it in this way. The one who knows how to use those tools better will be the one that has the most advantage. Like if you're competing against someone, against another engineer, against another business, if you're more proficient, more advanced than those AI tools, you will be way ahead.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the last comments. Appreciate your time and energy. Just wanted to make my own last comments. People always find ways to be useful, right? Even if all the jobs are, taken over by AI, hopefully it won't happen. People always find a way to, find different ways to do, to realize their needs. And last comment from Sam Altman, people are going to get richer. We're going to get lots of jobs. Cost of intelligence, the cost of energy will be falling, and society gets much richer. And there's this really nice comment that I liked. I think it could be like a summary for our discussion. It seems probable that once the machine thinking method has started, it would take long distance to outstrip our feeble powers. At some point, therefore, we should have to expect the machines to take control. And as long as the machines have some humility in them, we're going to have a bright future. That was it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It's great.